Okay, today we sat down for chapter 8, and you remember that Esker had just met Tomkin and we didn't know how he was going to react, although we did know he was furious. So let's see what happens. "Where on earth have you been?" Tomkin shouted. Flint winced, but before he could reply, a small tubby girl dropped down from a swing and charged through the ropes towards him. Her hair was short and wild about her face, as if she'd cut it herself in a hurry without a mirror or even scissors. "My brother, you give me happy," she cried, flinging her arms around Flint's waist. Flint reddened, and for a moment he forgot all about the trouble he was in. Instead, he felt Esker's eyes on him, and he wondered whether she could see that Blue was different from everyone else in the tribe, that her eyes were smaller and sloping like almonds, and that her words came out all jumbled even though she was 8, and she should know better. But when he glanced at Esker, he saw she wasn't frowning. She was raising her eyebrows in disgust either, like some people did when they spoke to Blue. She was just watching carefully, and he noticed she often did, without saying anything at all. "I miss you, brother," Blue said, and Flint ruffled her hair. "I'm here now." Blue tickled Pebble beneath his chin, and then she turned to Esker and shot out her little hand. "Who you?" "I'm Blue." Esker blinked. Her words were cut short by a thump. Tomkin had leapt down from his swing and was striding across the room. He drew himself up before them, a necklace of razor-sharp bear claws sprayed around his neck, a large knife hanging from his belt, and Esker found the words drying up in her mouth. Tomkin jabbed a finger in Esker's direction. "Who's she?" "She's not a spy, Tomkin," Flint said quickly. There were murmurs from the swings around them. "At least, I'm almost certain that she's not. I met her at Winterfang." Tomkin's eyes blazed. "Winterfang? Why were you at the Ice Queen's palace?" "I was trying to rescue Ma." "Of all the reckless, stupid, irresponsible things you've done, Tomkin, this is the worst." Blue clung to Flint's arm. "Be nice, Tomkin, be nice to brother." But Tomkin didn't even look at his sister. Instead, he narrowed his eyes at Flint. "You're still inventing things, aren't you? Even though I told you to stop." "No, definitely not." And Flint grimaced, knowing how hollow his words sounded. He'd never been a good liar. "You made a bunch of stupid objects that you thought could help rescue Ma," Tomkin hissed. "But they didn't work, did they?" "They never work, Flint. When will you learn that magic can't be trusted?" Blue put her hands over her ears. "You're not an inventor, you're a warrior, like the rest of the fur tribe, or at least you're meant to be." And Tomkin shot a glance at Pebble, who was peeping out of Flint's hood. "And it's high time you dumped the fox pup back in the wild where it belongs. When we found its mother dead last spring, you were told to drown the pup because it wouldn't survive without her." He shook Flint by the shoulders, and Pebble leapt down from Flint's hood and cowered behind Esker. "You're too old for pets now, and you're too old for me to be rushing around deep roots trying to find you." Flint shrunk inside his furs. The whole tribe was listening to what a terrible disappointment he was. And when Esker knew it, and the shame burned in his cheeks, Blue let out a whimper and Flint stroked his hair. "You're upsetting Blue," he said quietly. "I'm upsetting Blue," Tomkin spat. "You ran away." And for a moment his eyes softened. "Imagine if you hadn't come back." Flint reached out to touch the necklace his little sister wore, the one he had made by attaching a rabbit paw to the loop of a willow twine. It was a good luck talisman, or so the carvings he'd found in the woods claimed, and Flint hoped that it would keep his sister safe. "I'd always come back to Blue," he whispered, "always." And Blue wriggled free and poked Tomkin in the stomach. "Not nice words. Be friends." Tomkin sighed. "We spent months and months building this hideaway, Flint. We can't afford to have the Ice Queen and her spies following your tracks and finding us." Flint shook his head. "It snowed last night. Our tracks are covered, until deep roots at least. I wouldn't put us in danger." There were more mumblings from the fur tribe, and then someone called out, "What about the girl? Why is she here? We've no room for outsiders." Esker took a small step behind Flint. "This is Esker," Flint said to his brother. "I don't really know who she is, but she was the Ice Queen's prisoner, and I think she knows things that could help us." There was a long and painful silence, and then Blue turned to Esker, shot out her hand once again, and said, "I'm Blue." Esker took her hand and tried to smile. But one by one the fur tribe stood up in their swings, and that's when the shouting began. "Look at her eyes," one girl cried. "She's a tough spy." "She's not welcome here," a boy shrieked. "She's the Ice Queen's pet. Tell her to leave." "We can't fight the rebellion without an outsider." Tomkin put up his hand, and the voices were quelled. "That's enough. I need to speak with my brother. Alone." Flint turned to Esker and then pointed to an empty hammock beside them. "Sit there," he said, "and don't attempt any conversations." Esker seemed about to say something, but Tomkin was already marching off behind the swing, and Flint had to hurry to keep up. The tribes were muttering now, casting fierce looks towards the visitors sitting by the door, but Flint ignored them. He ignored Tomkin whispering to Blade, Tomkin second in command as they passed too, but as he stopped to enter a small tent made of caribou skins at the far end of the room, he glanced back towards Esker. Blue was chattering away to her and Pebble was hopping between them, and he paused for a second. There was something about this girl, something he couldn't put a finger on. She wasn't strong or impressive, and yet he was starting to believe that there was something special about her voice, something secret and important. He ducked inside the tent to find his brother sitting on a stool, barely taking a breath, and Tomkin launched into his lecture. The fur tribe fight with weapons, not far-fetched ideas, and you need to remember that. Flint wanted to tell Tomkin about how well his gyrfalcon whistle had worked, and about how he had so nearly managed to reach their ma, but Tomkin raised a hand before those sentences could unravel, and with a heavy heart, Flint filled his brother in on all that he had seen and heard in Winterfang Palace, and about the things Esker had told him of the Ice Queen's plans. "What if Esker could help us, though?" Flint said. Tomkin snorted. The runt you drugged in. She'd be of no help to anyone, and a voice, Flint, even from you. That type of thinking is ridiculous. How could a voice beat the Ice Queen? You've been spun a line by that girl. "At least speak to Esker," Flint muttered, and he got up to go. "Just listen to what she has to say, and then you can decide." Tomkin sighed. "There's no point, Flint." "There might be," and with that he hurried from the tent to go and find Esker, but as he wove through the ropes he noticed how quiet the room was. The rest of the fur tribe were crouched in their swings watching him with slitted eyes, and when Flint reached the door he saw that only Blue and Pebble were on the hammock. Esker was nowhere to be seen. Flint made a dash towards the door, but a bulky boy clad in lynx furs blocked his way. "Whose side are you on, Flint?" Blade asked, and Flint realised what had happened and why Tomkin had whispered to Blade on his way to the tent. "You made her leave, didn't you?" he said quietly. "On Tomkin's orders." Blade raised his chin. "She didn't belong here. Tomkin's right, we can't trust outsiders at a time like this." Flint chewed his lip. Back at the food store he'd planned to abandon Esker if Tomkin saw no use for her, but then he'd seen her with the eagle, so stubborn and fierce, and something inside him had shifted. There was more to Esker than first met the eye. Yes, she'd messed up her chances of freeing his ma, but did she really deserve to be cast out? And what if her voice really was the key to defeating the Ice Queen? Flint glanced up at the fur tribe and tried to read their faces, for one by one they turned away, so he was left looking at a sea of backs. And then Tomkin emerged from the tent and made his way through the swings towards his brother. "It's time to grow up, Flint. We need warriors, not dreamers, to bring the rest of our tribe home." He picked up Pebble and stroked his head. We're your friend, Flint. I like Flint." Flint felt something tug beside him, but he shook it away, remembering inside the humiliation of being shouted at by Tomkin in front of everyone, and he turned his heart in the direction of the tribe. "She wasn't my friend," he muttered. "She was a stupid tough spy." Poor Flint, poor Esker. Not nice to feel like an outsider. Let's see what happens to Esker in chapter 9.